It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be. Thanks for tuning in to Baby and Toddler Instructions today. We do have a live show, so if you have any questions, comments, or just want to say hi, I love callers. Call us at 877-864-4869, or we do have a chat line on toginet.com if you're too chicken to talk on the air. But anyway, I am so excited about today's show. It's jam-packed. We have two great guests because it's the first week of June, and you know what that means. My favorite monthly guest, Connie Gruning from peanutbutterandwine.com, is going to be with us in about 2 seconds to tell us what's hot and what's not in June, and about all her fabulous contests and giveaways. Also, guess what? I'm sponsoring a contest, too, and I'm going to let her tell you. Connie will talk about that. And then we have Jim Hjort from Right Life Project, and he's going to talk with us about moms and all the pressures we put on ourselves. But first, there weren't any new recalls this week, thank goodness. But if you go to mybestparentingadvice.com and check out my recall page, I keep them up to date. And if you do have anything that's on that list, you know, if you get something from a secondhand store, there's always great baby equipment and toys. Make sure it's not on the recall list, and don't try to fix it yourself. It takes 2 seconds for an accident to happen, and that's why they put these on. You know, don't try to do anything if you think it's going to be all right. Call the company. I put the numbers. I put the website contacts. Anyway, so I'm happy there were no recalls this week. So let's get right to it because we have a lot to do. So, Connie, thanks so much for being on the show. Yay, it's June, but I can't believe it's June already.
I know. And congratulations on little Mr. Alex. He is so cute, and he looks so happy already.
Oh, he's very happy, except I wish you were here last night. I wasn't going to say anything about this, but you know what? He's trying to decide whether he has colic or not. He's not quite sure, and I was thinking we might have to have a road trip to ride around and put him to sleep, but that didn't happen. Anyway, you know, he's a little over 3 weeks old, and he's trying to figure it out. He's going, where am I? There's no water here.
Oh, he's just so sweet. He's so sweet.
Oh,
and so with that, I want to announce that you are doing a giveaway, and one lucky peanut butter and wine follower will get to win either Help My Baby Came Without Instructions or Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions. And one of the entries is to give Blythe your grandma advice. Now, whether you're a daughter-in-law, a daughter, a grandma, or just a mom who wants to give a piece of advice to the new grandma, you can leave your advice here on my blog for Blythe. So, and I have one. Buy your own stroller, because trust me, that little tiny baby starts to weigh a lot. I'm telling you. I take care of Alice, who turned 4 on the 1st, and having my own stroller and my own car seat has been the number one thing.
That's such great advice. You know what? Because they do get heavy. I mean, little baby Alex weighs 8 pounds, and the seat weighs like 800 pounds.
That seat, oh my God. You're going to have muscles. At first, it was like I would drag and hold her. Now, not so much. But she's also 42 pounds now. So.
Wow. Well, I told my daughter the other day, you know what? This is a great weight reduction plan to take care of baby Alex. Between the pacing and the walking and the feeding and the bottles, and it's so great. I'm so excited, and I'm so happy everybody, you know, will let me gush about him.
He is so perfect. He really is.
They're all so perfect.
Okay, so
what do we have for June?
if you have, we just got back from camping. We went to Doheny State Beach up in Dana Point, California. And the number one thing for taking a toddler camping for us was the My Carry potty. I cannot even stress how good this worked. It seals shut, so it has absolutely no leaking. But we didn't have to rush from the campsite. There was no stress for Alice. She just said, Nana, I gotta go potty. Pull out the carry potty. It seals shut. It has a little carry handle. It looks like a little ladybug. They have cows. They have all different designs. Take it down, flush it away in the toilet, and rinse it out, and you're done. Everything stays sealed in the porta potty. So
I have to comment on this too. If you have not gone to Peanut Butter and Wine, that's WHINE.com. That's Connie's great site. She has so many wonderful things, but I have to say, your blog post about the camping trip had me cracking up between the mud and the falling down and oh my goodness. You have to go there not only to enter the contest, but you have to read this post. It's so funny.
Seriously. We got to drive the Kia, a 2016 Sorento, for the last 2 weeks. And let me tell you what, that car has so many perks. Between all the back seats laying down flat, it has air conditioning vents that you control in the very back, which is unheard of in any car I've driven so far. That was awesome. It's got the remote control. If you have the little key fob in your pocket, stand behind it and the tailgate comes up for you. So if you're carrying a bunch of stuff or a sleeping baby, there it is. That's perfect. That car is so awesome. But one of the things we did learn is that the Grammys are very competitive. First day we were camping, I tripped and fell in front of a group of people, managed to scrape up my pride and my little knees and my hands. And the very next day, Grammy had to outdo me and tripped out of the tent and, the whole side of her face. So I made
saw
sure
the picture. Oh my goodness, is she okay?
She's okay. She's okay, but I did tell her I was using this picture because who knew she was so competitive? But we went whale watching, so if you're ever up in Dana Point, you need to go whale watching because there are so many cool things up there. So that's all in there, and if you need to search on my website, if you look on the right-hand side, about a fourth of the way down, it says, what you looking for? And I use what you looking for because that's what Alice says if I'm looking around. What you looking for? And just type in what it is. And then below that, we'll give you my list of giveaways for the month, including to celebrate that my daughter is getting married on the 28th of June.
Oh, great.
I have engraved stemless wine glasses, and you can have it engraved with anything you want. So these are great. I also have a Verilux solar flashlight, which worked perfect for camping because it lights up around the light bulbs. Has a very faint blue, so you can find it in the dark. Perfect flashlight. And then, of course, my very retro, the pin impressions. If you have grandkids, you need this. I mean, it's retro, it's fun, but they push their little face in it and then look at themselves in the pins. It's just fun. And then, of course, I have my regular diamond candle where you can get PayPal or a diamond candle. And that one and the $35 giveaway are ones that I sponsor. So those are up every month so that you can take a chance at winning. But my main things were the potty, and the car. The car, if you're looking for a new car, I'm telling you, this 2016 Kia is, air-cooled front seats, a heated steering wheel if you're in the cold weather, the dual automatic climate control. Oh, my gosh. It has the blind spot indicator, so if somebody is coming at you, the car beeps. It stops it puts on the brakes and helps you to stop faster. If the people that are ahead of you put on their brakes too fast with a forward collision warning system, fantastic.
So my question is, why don't they let you keep it? I mean, you did take it camping and have all these injuries.
I know. I'm telling you, I would do such a good job.
And the pin impression thing, this is the coolest thing. I didn't realize these were still around. That you
I
just
know.
I
didn't
bet
think
Alice
they were
loves
either.
it.
And when I was offered this, I was like, oh yeah, I want that.
I bet Alice loves it because it's so much fun to push your hand down on the pins to make that impression, or your face.
Yes. And they just think that's the funniest thing. And it's heavy like the old-fashioned ones. So, I mean, this one is really quality made. I was very impressed with this one.
And especially, with summer coming too, it sounds like a great thing to take with you if you're going to go on a trip. Because I know parents ask me all the time, we're going to take a family vacation, and what do I do? We're going to go on a plane, or we're going to go in the car. How do I keep my little ones occupied? 5 minutes to them is like 5 hours if they don't have anything to do.
I did a binder, and I used 10 zip bags.
Mm-hmm.
And I filled each one with, one day we had felt pieces, one day we had magnets to play with, a big bag of popsicle sticks. I had Alice entertained for the entire camping trip. There were no meltdowns. We did great. Being prepared is definitely important. And don't let your child see any of the things you're taking traveling with you. It's all a surprise for when they get on the plane.
And you know what?
And remember, don't do something that's loud, because the parents and the business people around you will shoot daggers at you with their eyes.
I remember that whistle thing that you used to pull it back and forth and it would go doo-doo-doo.
Don't do that.
It's so loud. Anyway, you know what? That's great. And it's so easy because you really don't have to go buy anything. Everybody has this stuff in their house. Maybe you don't have popsicle sticks, but you can always do goldfish or pieces of, paper or whatever. But anyway, Connie, we have to say goodbye to you this month. And next month, we will be talking to you again to find out what's hot and what's not in July. Yikes, where's the summer going to go? Anyway.
I know.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, and thanks for running the contest, and we'll talk to you next month, and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Are you looking for something more in your life or business? More success, more stability, more happiness? It's all out there waiting for you, but it doesn't just happen. You've got to go get it. Make it happen with Michelle McCullough, where motivation and strategy intersect. Michelle is a serial entrepreneur, acclaimed speaker, and the Woohoo Radio Network's resident business and success strategist. Michelle has the smarts, strategies, and experience to help you improve your life and take your business to the next level. You've got big dreams. You've got big vision. Now it's time for you to make it happen.
It's words you never heard.
Did you ever wonder who invented the Band-Aid? In 1921, a man by the name of Earl Dixon was working as a cotton buyer for the Johnson & Johnson Company. Earl's wife, Josephine, was always cutting her fingers while cooking in the kitchen. So one day, he took a piece of gauze and attached it to the center of a piece of tape, covered it in crinoline to keep it sterile, and placed it over her wound. His boss, James Johnson, heard about Earl's little invention and decided to start mass-producing these Band-Aids to sell to the public. Johnson & Johnson decided to give Boy Scout troops free Band-Aids as a publicity stunt, which started the telewagging, and the rest is history. What do the British, Irish, Aussies, New Zealanders, and South Africans call Band-Aids? Plasters.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and Words You Never Heard has been brought to you by the Bariatric Surgery Center of Dallas.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.
The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. Thanks for tuning in. If you're listening live, again, you can call us if you have questions, 877-864-4869. And don't forget to listen to all the other great shows that we have on TogiNet.com. The podcasts are always there if you can't listen live. You know what? Pull it up when maybe you have it on your phone or when you're exercising. But let me tell you about my next guest. His name is Jim Hjort. He is a licensed psychotherapist and the founder of Right Life Project, where he helps people overcome roadblocks to self-actualization as a psychotherapist. Right Life coach and mindfulness meditation instructor. Boy, we all need the meditation. The project helps you understand the ways you work with different parts of your life. And as a renowned mental health expert, Jim educates busy mothers on letting go of mom guilt and embracing being the imperfect parent, handling relationships with toxic people in a healthy way, and just mindfulness-based stress reduction. Because, you know, we all have so much stress, and I'll tell you what, especially busy moms. So, Jim, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. How did you get into this? Did you always want to be a therapist?
Well, it was a little bit of a circuitous journey for me. I actually spent about 15 years in the business world, in the private equity sphere, and I was really unfulfilled doing that work, and ultimately made the leap into this work, which is much more rewarding.
You know what? Working with people, I teach a lot of classes for new moms or toddler moms, and I just, I love giving back as I see you do, but I also love teaching things because we can always learn.
Absolutely. There's nothing like it.
So where does the expectation come from being a perfect mother? I just think of that commercial that was on years ago. I don't know if you remember it. It was about a mother. She had a briefcase and it was a song and she was dancing about being a woman, and you could see she was a mom.
Right.
Why do we have this? Why do we think we have to be perfect, and there's no such thing?
I think we could go all the way back to, even our hunter-gatherer days, okay, when we have this division of labor in which mothers spend a disproportionate amount of their time in a caregiving role while the fathers were out providing, essentially. And, we see this even today in our modern culture, and especially before the last 40 or 50 years, you still saw a lot of, stay-at-home moms. And, even nowadays with dual income households, you still see moms picking up a disproportionate share of the household labor and childcare responsibilities, even though that is evening out somewhat. But, then with the advent of psychology, going back, to Freud, the father of our modern psychology, this bias towards women being the primary caregiver was really reinforced by the earliest theories. And, we came away with this idea that if the mother made the slightest misstep in the upbringing of this child, that the child would be, scarred for life. And, what we know today is that just isn't true.
No, it isn't true.
Yeah. I mean, the most, the modern research that we have around attachment theory, tells us a couple of things. One is that the primary caregiver, the one who spends the most amount of time with the child, is indeed the most influential on the child's outcome. But that primary caregiver, can be the mother or the father, that either party can fill that role. And also the secondary caregivers in the child's life, whether that be the mother or father or other relatives, etc., are also very important to a child's outcome. And furthermore, we know that kids are a lot more resilient than we used to think.
Well, it's interesting because I have said this so many times, do not use that G word. Get the G word, guilt, out of your vocabulary, because I really think it's ingrained in moms. We compare ourselves. I mean, we compare ourselves to everybody else, and That's a bad thing to do. Any tips for that? Is that where we meditate and say, you know what, I'm perfect the way I am, and everybody's doing a great job, because, we're all different. And what one mom does, another mom may not do, and that's fine.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we compare ourselves, and then we beat ourselves up about the results of that comparison, and we often beat ourselves up about the act of comparing in the first place. So there's a lot of grounds for beating ourselves up in that comparison process. But, one thing to realize, I think, is that, humans we're primates after all. We're highly social animals. So we have a natural affinity for being in a group and to be accepted by a group and to fit in to some extent. And so for that reason, it matters to us what others think about us. Even people who say, well, I don't really care what other people think. Well, to a greater or lesser extent, we all really do. It's the reason why you might sit around at home in your tattered sweatpants, but you might not wear those to a parent-teacher conference, right? Because there's a certain image that you're hoping to project to other people.
Wouldn't that be interesting if people actually did show up in what they wore with the spit up on their shirt and
right, exactly.
No makeup?
Right. And that's the thing, right? So we all have that other part of us, but then we have this impression that we try to make. And there's actually a term for that in psychology. It's called impression management. So we're managing the impression that we give to other people. So the thing is, when we're out in the world and we see other people, what we're seeing is the impression that they're curating for our benefit. Okay? So, yeah, they're in their tattered sweatpants at home just like you are, but you're not seeing that part. Yet that's the impression that we tend to compare ourselves to. So, at least in part, what we're comparing ourselves to is fictional in a sense, or isn't the complete picture. So it's easy to conclude that we don't measure up because we tend to compare our whole picture to the partial picture that we see of other people.
That's so true. Or let's go the other way. As a woman, we do compare ourselves, and we may go out and we have a baby and the mom has a new stroller, or she has a really cute haircut. And what's the first thing we do? We go, who does your hair? You look great. And then we go home and we may not tell them, and we call the person. Mm-hmm. Or we go out and get the same thing, which is really a compliment too.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's also that urge to feel a part of or feel alike in some way. It's hardwired into us. So it's not a weakness at all, that we do this. It's part of our makeup as social beings.
Well, I think, being a woman, and also now that I am a grandma, which people are going to get so sick of hearing, but I don't care. I'm having the time of my life. He's only 3 weeks old. But
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. He's so cute. Anyway, but just looking at it, I can say I've talked to other women, and many times they will say exactly what you just said. I don't care what anybody thinks. When you get to be this age, and I'm not old, believe me, when you get, at least I don't feel it, I don't care what anybody thinks. And they can say whatever they want, but I don't think that's true. I think what you said is true. We do always care.
Right. If people who genuinely don't care what any other person thinks about them that's a dangerous thing to be, actually. That's a little bit antisocial. So, it would be unnatural for us as social creatures to not have some kind of reference point with other people. And that doesn't mean that we care what a stranger on the street thinks about the shirt that we're wearing. But, everyone has someone in their life, whether it be a family member or a spouse, whose opinion of them matters to them. And, and that's perfectly natural and fine.
Absolutely. I used to teach classes at the hospital. It's called Moms on the Move, and I would get anywhere from 30 to 50 moms, and they could bring their babies with them. And it was so interesting because I'm thinking about the comparing. The networking that went on was so great for them, and I was so excited. Sometimes it was loud and they didn't even listen to what I was saying, and I loved observing them because to be able to talk to another mother and actually that gets rid of some of the guilt, because if somebody says to you, yeah, you know what, I give my baby a bath at night instead of the morning because it calms him or her down, And the mother goes, oh, yeah, I do that too. Then you know what? You feel better.
Right. Well, it's a bit of a reality check, right?
Sure.
And you can use the same principle actually with yourself too, which is a really important point, I think. Because after that comparison process, we then often tend to arrive at a negative judgment about ourselves. And this is something, again, that our brains tend to do naturally. Okay, they tend to orient towards negative things for a good reason. It's good for survival. Okay, so our brains like to foresee things in the future that might go wrong, so we can try to work our way around them. And they like to look back in the past and think about what went wrong, so we can avoid having that happen again. So it's again natural to arrive at negative thoughts about yourself, but it's not healthy when we dwell on those. So I work with my clients around this issue quite a bit. So if you want, I can give you an example of how you could work through some of these negative self-judgments.
I love an example. We have about 2 minutes till the first break, so you're on.
Okay.
I'll just stop you if the music comes, and then we can continue after.
Okay, sure. So I had a client who forgot to pick up her son at daycare one day. And actually, it was the second time she had forgotten to pick him up. And she was really distraught about this when she came to see me. She thought she was a complete failure as a mother and was really beating herself up. So what I had her do was write down, as best she could, exactly what the thought is about herself that kept coming up. And in her case, it was something like, I'm always screwing up with my son and I'll never be a good mother. Okay? And so this thought was kind of on repeat in her head. So what you can do is kind of envision this thought as being a prosecutor. So there's a trial going on, and that's the voice of the prosecutor. Now, the problem is we only listen to the prosecutor a lot of the time and don't make room for defense counsel to speak. So what's important then is to take on the role of defense counsel and try to poke holes in the prosecutor's argument. So separating fact from fiction, okay, going on a fact-finding mission. So, in this case, whenever you hear the words always or never, whether it's in a thought that you're having or in a conversation with someone, that's a pretty good indicator that you're about to hear an opinion, right?
Oh, I love it. You know what? I've heard this so many times, and I'll stop myself sometimes saying always, because things are not always. But I'll tell you what is always. We're going to break for commercial. We'll be right back.
Great.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune in every Monday night during the debut episode of Paranoia, Texas at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you will get a chance to win some very cool prizes from McDonald's, Walmart, Geek World, Red Petal Salon, and so much more. All you have to do is listen for the cue, and when you hear this music, call in. That's every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and win those cool prizes.
I am not the woman I used to be. I'm Free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet. This is your chance, ladies, to hear stories of hope and healing from someone who's been there. Someone who has fought back from the horrors of incest. Minister Diane's innocence was stolen from her in the land of alcoholism and mental illness, which led to her being emotionally, physically, and sexually abused by her parents. Yet in spite of this trauma, she has gone on to become a successful wife, mother, registered nurse, and minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Not the Woman I Used to Be. I'm Free is a straight-up show to enlighten you and to lighten your load. Do not let the weight of this world or the things that have happened to you control your life. For more on the show and Diane and her book, The Story of Me, email her directly from her show page here on TogiNet. Then, join us for I'm Not the Woman I Used to Be. I'm Free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to the show. I am here live today with my wonderful guest, Jim Hjort. He's a licensed psychotherapist, and we're talking about moms and mom guilt. And before the commercial, he was sharing a story about a mom, no names included, that forgot to pick up her son at daycare a couple times. And believe me, I've worked in daycare many times, and that happens. It just happens. You know what? You think somebody else is picking them up or whatever it is. Anyway, and Jim was talking about that judge. I'm calling it the judge, and I think when you have the judge, I have you reiterate a little bit about having the defense and the judge. You know what? When you have the judge, you should take your finger, flick them off your shoulder. If you could see me, you'd probably be laughing because we all have the judge. We all have the person that's judging us.
Well, so actually, let me add a third character, okay? So if we're imagining a courtroom, okay, you've got the judge sitting there kind of weighing both sides, and then a defense and prosecutor. So let's think of it that way. And so where we left off was we have the statement that this mother was telling herself that I'm always screwing up with my son. I'll never be a good mother. Okay, so then taking on the role of the defense counsel, you then try to poke holes in that argument and find out what's fact and what's opinion, what's fiction, and really try to present the opposite case. Then you've got the judge that's now heard both sides, okay? And what the judge's responsibility is to come up with a ruling, a statement that reflects both parts, the truth, the facts of both sides of the case, okay? So I actually pulled this out before we got on the call because this client did such a wonderful job with this exercise. So here's what she came up with, okay? I forgot, let's call him Johnny, at daycare today. The second time I've done that. It's not like me because the vast majority of the time I'm on the ball and I'm a loving and responsible mother. I've remembered to pick him up hundreds of times. Still, I feel terrible about what's happened, so I'm going to make an extra effort to get organized and leave myself reminders so this never happens again. Wow. You know what? I love it because I think for women, or maybe I'll speak for myself, when you write something down, it makes it so much clearer. Absolutely. And you see what she did here is, we aren't denying anything. We aren't denying that she feels bad about forgetting to pick up her son. We aren't denying that it happened, but we're also highlighting what often goes overlooked, which is the other part, the hundreds of times that she didn't forget and all the good things she does as a mother. Those tend to get lost a lot of the time. So the idea is to bring out that side and then come up with a balanced statement that honors both parts of those feelings. You know what, Jim, it's so interesting because we talk a lot about using positive reinforcement for our children, but you'll never hear a mom say, you know what, I need to use it for myself. Right. And that's really what it is. We're reinforcing that. We're great, and we're perfect the way we are. And you know what? We do screw up. I'll tell you something really interesting. My daughter shared something with me yesterday that one of her friends called her and said, wow, I'm Mom of the Year, and it had to do with the fact that something with the bus left early and one of her kids was stuck at school and she was at work. It was the same kind of deal. And she said, I'm going to get Mom of the Year award. She was kidding because she couldn't do it. But
You know what? We all deserve we deserve Mom of the Day awards, I think, because it's tough.
Right. And we have solid research too on this, on the fact that you don't need to be perfect. Okay. As I said, Freud was really big on perfection and really placing mom in the spotlight, and really, dad was really a secondary figure as well. But, what we know now is, we know what kids need. Okay. They need a couple of really basic things. One is that they need to feel the sense that they matter, that they're acknowledged, and that there is concern for their needs, and that there's someone there to satisfy their needs. And they also need to feel that there's a safe base of support for them, that, when they're younger, they can explore their environment, and when they get older, they can explore the world, and then have a safe base to return to if needed. Okay? So those are critical things that kids need. But they don't need it 100% of the time. There's something called the good enough mother that, Winnicott, decades ago came up with, a luminary in psychology, the good enough mother, that just in general, you need to provide those things. But if you slip up here and there, it's not only not a big deal, but it's actually really important for the healthy development of the child. Because it's those times when the child's needs are frustrated, or there's a little bit of disappointment there, that the child then has to turn inward and begin to develop internal coping mechanisms around that, and gradually also learn that one's needs are not always going to be met, which is a reality that unfortunately we all have to face, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here's a big takeaway, I think, for moms on this perfection and imperfection. Okay. Imperfect mothering is good enough mothering, and good enough mothering isn't just good enough. It's actually perfect.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's so true, because it is perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Say it again so everybody puts it in their head.
Okay. Now remember, so good enough, the good enough mother, this is an actual psychological concept. Okay. I'm not making this up. So imperfect mothering is good enough mothering. And good enough mothering isn't just good enough. It's perfect. It's what they need.
It is what they need. I just love it. So, let me move on a little bit. During the commercial break, I was on your Facebook page, and I want to talk a little bit about moms taking care of themselves, because you have a piece of chocolate cake on there in one of your posts, and it's about gratification and how, moms, we take care of ourselves last. We may not eat lunch. We'll go to bed and stay up till 11 o'clock making school lunches, or if the baby's up all night, the next day we'll get up and do what we usually do and not take power nap. I love power naps, something really good. But, how, from the beginning, how do we as moms not feel bad about taking care of ourselves? Because we do take care of everyone else first. Right.
Well, and that's common among caregivers. True caregivers tend to fall into that pattern. And even in the field I'm in psychotherapy, it's drilled into us in our training that, you can't neglect self-care. And you know why? I mean, when you go fly somewhere, right? They do the little seatbelt demonstration, and they say in the event of an emergency, if you're flying with a child, put your own oxygen mask on first, right? Before you put your child's on. Right. Now, that's a tough one for a lot of parents to swallow. But the idea there is that, if you become unconscious, your kid's on his own. So you can't take care of anyone else as effectively as possible until you take care of yourself. You have to prioritize your own well-being if you're going to be good to anyone else.
But how, I don't know what you tell your moms. I mean, I tell moms all the time, when the baby sleeps, you sleep. Have date night. Have girlfriend time. And it's all really easy to say, okay, yeah, I want to do that. And then you have this little screaming baby, and you're so tired, and you're in your sweat clothes, like you said. What do you do?
Right. Okay, so a lot of times we hear moms being encouraged to reward themselves with material things, and like a pampering day at the spa, say, or going shopping, that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that kind of taking care of yourself. However, that's something that we call extrinsic rewards, okay? Material things that are outside of yourself. What we know from research is that if you only focus on that kind of self-care, that you actually end up being unhappy more often than people who focus on what we call intrinsic rewards, so things within you, okay? So what you want to do is try to find activities that are inherently rewarding, okay, that resonate with you in some way inside. So that could be, going for a walk somewhere in a pretty place, or as hard as it may be, trying to carve out an hour a week, and get someone to take over childcare for an hour to go take a class or explore a new hobby of some kind, okay? Or, really, we have these 4 dimensions of our life: the social, physical, psychological, and vocational. And vocational includes not just paid work, but any activities that we're engaged in. And, we have basic needs in those dimensions, but also these deeper needs. So, for instance, with respect to social interaction, what really is rewarding on an intrinsic level for people is to have a deeply connected relationship with someone, like a conversation, okay? So it's one thing to go hang out in the park and be around a lot of people, but it's a different thing to make a coffee date with a friend and have a really meaningful conversation with that person. That's inherently rewarding.
And what about, we're going to break quit pretty soon, but I was kidding. I wasn't kidding about the picture of a piece of cake and delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Do we delay gratification, then we never do it? We never do have that coffee date?
Well, no. No. There's a difference between short-term gratification and long-term gratification and deep fulfillment, okay? So if we spend most of our time just reacting to our short-term needs and fulfilling our short-term gratification, we're really doing so at the expense of our long-term well-being in most cases. So, a good example of that would be say lying on the couch and eating chips, okay? That is a very easy thing to do, and it's something that the primitive parts of your brain love, because you're not exerting any energy, you're taking in calories, you're relaxing. But that if you do that every day, it's not going to be to your long-term benefit, okay?
No, I have to interrupt you here because... Yeah. We're going to have a commercial. I need to go find that cake on Right Life Project on Facebook. Go take a look. We'll be right back with Jim Hjort.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
This is God in Country, the collision of faith and politics, hosted by nationally known speaker, Reverend Dr. Sean Michael Greener. Not your typical Rev. Dr. Sean is a proud military veteran, former law enforcement officer, and founder of the internationally regarded Executive Protection Team. Dr. Sean holds a bachelor's degree in biblical counseling and master's and doctorate degrees in theology, and is currently pursuing a doctorate in ministry with a Hebrew worldview focus. Through his counseling, elite life coaching, and national speaking, this ninja pastor tells it like it is. This series is biblically and politically engaged with the pedal to the metal. Join host and author of the acclaimed yet controversial book, Excellence Killed the Church, How Mediocrity is Destroying America, Dr. Sean Michael Greener, every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this radio network.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
Are you looking for something more in your life or business? More success, more stability, more happiness? It's all out there waiting for you, but it doesn't just happen. You've got to go get it. Make it happen with Michelle McCullough, where motivation and strategy intersect. Michelle is a serial entrepreneur, acclaimed speaker, and the Woohoo Radio Network's resident business and success strategist. Michelle has the smarts, strategies, and experience to help you improve your life and take your business to the next level. You've got big dreams. You've got big vision. Now it's time for you to make it happen.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Jim Hjort. He is a licensed psychotherapist. And before the break, we were talking about moms having me time on a regular basis, and I was talking about the wonderful piece of cake and gratification before we broke. But before we get back into that, please tell my listeners, I know you have an exciting belated Mother's Day gift, and also tell them where they can find you and if they want to talk to you and your Facebook pages. I will put that on my website, but you're on. So what kind of gift? I'm excited.
Well, so we're a little bit past Mother's Day, but I think every day should be Mother's Day, and so
I'm clapping. Yes, I agree.
So you're familiar with the concept of a care package, I imagine.
Sure.
Okay.
You want my address?
Yeah. Well, what I did is I put together something that I call a self-care package, because this is so important and so overlooked by moms. And you can find it on my website at www.rightlifeproject.com. And what it is it's about 15 pages. And what I did is I put together an article that summarizes a lot of what we're talking about today, this embracing of the imperfect mother. And also I have a section on mindfulness meditation, which maybe we can talk about in a second, and how that can really provide a great means for self-care, and also and in a way that doesn't impair your ability to do all the things that a busy mother needs to do every day. So if you go on the website at www.rightlifeproject.com and then look on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the link for the self-care package for moms.
Well, I love it, and I will put that on my site too.
Yeah, it's the only thing on my site that's pink, so hard to miss it.
Great color. Okay, and where can people find you? Tell us about Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on all kinds of social media. I'm really active on it. You can find me at Right Life Project on Facebook, and on Twitter, Right Life Proj, Proj, and then Right Life Project is also on Instagram and Pinterest. So we're all over the place.
You know what? As we all should be with this world of technology. It's a lot of fun, a lot of work, but it's great because we do connect with so many wonderful people.
Yeah, and on my website, I have a blog, so I'm often putting up articles that relate to, as you mentioned in the intro, just helping people actualize themselves and really get in contact with who they really are at their core and allowing that part of them to thrive. And I have a podcast as well that is not nearly as regularly updated as yours, Blythe, but but I try.
Hey, whatever you can do, you know what? You're taking me time when you're not doing the podcast. So also, before you talk about mindful meditation, do you have a favorite tip that you say to your mom clients besides all the wonderful ones you've shared throughout the show?
It's going to be one of the mindfulness exercises, to tell you the truth. Okay,
well, you're on. What is mindfulness meditation? Because moms will say, I can't concentrate. And I've said it many times, I can't meditate. My brain goes all over the place.
Right. That's the point. Okay. So mindfulness meditation in a nutshell is the practice of cultivating awareness, curiosity, and acceptance of each moment of your life as it arises, okay? So that includes, if your mind is going crazy and wandering all over the place, it includes being aware of that as opposed to just being carried away by it, okay? So anything that's coming up in your moment-to-moment experience of life is something that we can be mindful of. So it's a state of mind. which is really important because, when a lot of people hear the word meditation, they immediately think of, sitting cross-legged by themselves up on top of a mountain somewhere. And, people think, well, that's unrealistic. I don't have the time in my life to do that. And it's certainly true that, it's really beneficial if you could set aside, half an hour a day to sit quietly by yourself and meditate. But mindfulness, since it's a state of mind, is something that can be practiced at literally any moment, no matter what you happen to be doing. So it's something that can be integrated easily into a mom's busy life. So, for instance, here's an example. When you're driving around running errands, every time you come to a red light at an intersection, you can use that red light as a reminder to come into your present moment experience. Okay, so paying attention to the sense of touch of your hands on the steering wheel, the texture of the steering wheel, paying attention to what it feels like where your body is pressing against the car seat. What does that pressure feel like? Can you feel any tingling or heat or moisture at that contact, at those contact points, etc.? So, you're still running your errands just like you were, but you're incorporating, 30 seconds of mindfulness into your day.
You know what? I love it, but I do want to say something. Don't close your eyes when you're doing this, because we do all have this picture of sitting cross-legged and having to spend an hour.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, again, that it's really helpful if you can do that, but you don't need to, because any moment that you spend being mindful is really an investment in your well-being, even if that's 5 seconds or 30 seconds. And, there's tons and tons of research at this point on the physical and psychological benefits of incorporating some kind of mindfulness practice into your life. Everything from stress reduction, number one for busy moms, right, to, lower blood pressure, better mood, greater sense of well-being in life. And also kind of a fringe benefit for moms is that when you practice mindfulness, your empathy and compassion naturally emerge as well. So we see improvements in those areas. And those happen to be a couple of things that are really great to bring to your mothering skill set. The more empathic and compassionate you can be with your child, the better. So it's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your ability to be a good mother. And it's an investment in your child, ultimately.
I love it because so many times you'll be playing with your child and you'll be thinking about when you have to start dinner or what you have to get at the grocery store. And just the fact that you said you don't have to have a half hour and you don't have to sit in a quiet room. You can do it as many times as you want. What do you think about breathing, though? I mean, I really like relaxation breathing, even if you're in the car and you take 2 seconds to just kind of take a really good breath, because none of us breathe right.
Right. In fact, in the self-care package, that's one of the exercises I share. The breath is really interesting because, it's there with us from the moment we're born until the moment we transition into whatever's next, right? It's our constant companion. And yet, you can go an entire day, an entire week, an entire month without ever actually paying attention to what your breath feels like. It's like it fades into the background and isn't even there. And yet it's the very thing keeping you alive. So what's interesting is it makes a really great thing to anchor yourself with in the present moment. So if you bring your attention to your breath, and not even try to make it deeper or longer or whatever, but just pay attention to what it's like at that moment. So the texture of it, the pace, the depth of it, is there a color that comes to mind as you're breathing? Whatever it is that you can detect about your experience of your breath in that moment is a mindfulness practice and can yield all those benefits that I mentioned.
I think that's great, and I wanted to add something to that. If you have a toddler, 2, 3, 4-year-old, and you're playing with them or they're getting, kind of antsy or something, try showing your toddler how to take that breath, because I guarantee you it will bring you back to the moment, and sometimes you'll just be cracking up, because trying to show a toddler how to breathe deeply in itself is so cute and so much fun. And you know what? All of a sudden you're both there. You're both
Right.
there. You're not doing your grocery list or, dinner or anything else. So it works with your toddler, too.
That's a great idea. I'm going to add that to my list.
Okay, give me credit.
Yeah, teaching toddlers how to breathe. Okay, mindfully.
Anyway, I am going to take a nice deep breath now because we're up to the end of the show, and I'm going to have to say goodbye. But I would love to have you come back again because, you know what? It's an evergreen. Moms are always going to feel guilty, even though we're not supposed to, and we can always use tips from other people when we're comparing, and especially from you. So thank you so much for being on the show. I will put all your information on my website, and you know what? Go look at Facebook. You'll just feel better if you see that piece of cake on the Facebook page that
And
Jim
please-
Hjort has.
Yeah, and please do take advantage of the self-care package on the website. I was up till midnight putting it together, so please take it.
Well, thank you so much. You'll see me on there.
Great.
Jim, thanks so much. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Blythe.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, so many terrific tips. You know what? We do need to take the time. Just 2 seconds. Take a breath. When we're feeling stressed, sometimes don't grab for the piece of chocolate. You know what? Take some of those great breaths. So next week, we have another wonderful guest. Simon Isaacs is the co-founder of Fatherly.com, a great resource for all dads and dads-to-be. And with Father's Day coming up soon, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to talk to Simon. And if you want to take a look at their website, Fatherly.com, ahead of time, you'll see it's great. Also, please go to my pages. Please like my pages on Facebook. I have baby instructions and my best parenting advice, and I do lots of posts. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest and LinkedIn and sing and dance, and I'm going to be on Reddit pretty soon, so I can answer a lot of your questions there as well. Also, I tried to keep my gushing about my grandson to a minimum today, but I have to say that I just added a new post, which I think you will love. Actually, there are 2 posts about being a grandma. But the latest is called Grandma Does the Night Shift, which is what I'm doing. And, I added some tips. And if you want a little laugh, it's kind of humorous. But check out my website anyway, mybestparentingadvice.com. I have a lot of great experts on there, and I do try to post weekly as well as my recall page and a lot of other great things. So next week, we'll be looking forward to Fatherly.com. Don't forget to take that time with your little one and just enjoy and try the breathing, as we talked about with a toddler. So I would like to leave you today with these little gems. And what else am I going to say? I'm talking about grandparents. My grandparents don't spoil me. They're just very accommodating. And finally, granddaughter makes a phone call and says, Grandma, you've got to come get me. Your daughter is freaking out because I won't take a nap. I love to add a little humor to the end of the show and put some humor into your life each and every day. There's nothing better than having a good laugh. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.